of a holiday, a magic carousel. All those games we used to play, I still recall so well. And there came a time he went away. He's been gone since then, and no one knows as well as I. He won't be back again. For though I'd search around the world through all eternity, I'll never find that little boy, the boy I used to be. Though little boys and girls grow up, they need not just grow old. They still have dreams like you and I. Life stories still untold. The reason that we're here today is to reignite that fire. Take those dreams off, lay away, and reach your heart's desire. Internalize the magic of this week. Commit to live your dream. Focus on the goals you see. They're closer than they seem. Listen, learn, and filled with hope, believe. And soon you'll see those dream boards that your old boy became reality. You know, I've been traveling 4 days a week for 40 years. You never know I was 48. I get jet advance instead of jet lag. But I don't get tired, I don't get mad, I don't get sick. Because I'm always looking through the windshield instead of the rearview mirror. I'm looking at where I'm going instead of where I'm coming from. And all I see is the future full of opportunity. I may be getting old, but I don't feel old. In fact, there are a lot of things I can still do, even though my back goes out more than I do. The little old person I helped across the street is me. I went to my 50th high school reunion. Do not go to that one. No, you can go to the 20th, the 10th. I mean, arrive at the 10th in a helicopter, rent a limousine. The 20th, you see people who lost their hair. The cheerleaders look like the refrigerators. It doesn't matter. You go to the 50th reunion, you see old people with capital name badges and their yearbook photo. They wear reading glasses so they can read your name. And there are very few of them. It's not that they moved away. It's just that they're no longer here. And I looked at my reunion and I said, you know, I'm going to live every day as if it were my last. I just got back once again from the Olympic Games, and when we were together in Las Vegas in June, we were about ready to go to those Olympic Games in London. And when I got back, these past 30 years I've been training Olympians. I was chairman of psychology for the Olympics for Olympiads. The interesting thing about an Olympian is you must wear the gold medal inside before they can place it around your neck in reality. You have to be an inner winner, an Olympian within. And looking at Gabby Douglas winning that all-around gold, I said, wow. And I said, did you expect it? She said, we all expected it because we've trained so hard. But first I had to believe that I was worth the effort. Because only when you believe you're worth the effort will you put the effort in. And that's why it's so important to remember those 5 Olympic rings don't just stand for continents, they stand for characteristics and traits. And I've spent my life studying winners. I'm not saying I am a winner, but I know how to spot them. I can smell them, taste them, see them. Because I love to hang around winners. An astronaut that I've worked with, no longer here, Neil Armstrong. Prisoners of war who were solitary for 5.5 years. I was their rehabilitation coordinator. And Olympic athletes, what do they have in common? A prisoner of war, an astronaut, and an Olympian. It's all in their mind. Well, they have to have the capability and the talent, no question. all those 5 rings that we talked about a little bit in June. That first Olympic ring would have to be, for me, self-honesty. I've got to look in the mirror and see someone that I wanted to be. How would I like to be married to? Me. How would I like a father like me, a husband like me, a son like me? How would I like to be me if I were them? And I begin to look at me, and instead of all the blemishes I see, I'm beginning to count my blessings. And I'm beginning to understand that I'm as good as the best, but no better than the rest. And that I have more potential than I could use in 1,000 lifetimes. And yet I look in that mirror and I'm telling you, it's very difficult to feel good about yourself when you're up against celebrities who look good, act good, sing good, and are very athletic at the same time. It's hard when you compare yourself against celebrities. I remember many years ago, I think it was 1990, I went to one of those Northern California seminars, a feely, touchy, rub-a-dub-dub in a redwood tub kind of seminar, a New Age seminar. And the speaker, I don't remember who it was, but he said that the best thing to know about yourself is when you're naked. I said, figures, we're in Northern California. And he said if you took off all your clothes and looked into a full-length mirror, you'd see yourself honestly as you are. So I decided to try it. Late October of 1990, I went into my bedroom, closed the door, thought I locked it. When you do this, make sure you lock the door. I didn't lock it.
Él lo va a decir otra vez.
I removed my clothing, a kind of ritual, laid them on the chair and stood there naked in front of a full-length mirror. A moment of truth. I didn't see old friend, the person I'd come to love and understand and adore. I saw a stranger because he told me to be honest. Put a grocery bag over your head with eye holes cut out. Then you will see yourself as you really are. Because when you look at your face, you rationalize. It's you, after all. I don't look that old, do I? No. With a bag over your head, you look like nature's revenge on peeping Toms. I could not believe the great white whale I saw in front of me. I did what he said, Miss America half turned to the left. Saw things that needed pressing, that were depressing. Then I did what you never do unless you have good self-esteem. I gave myself a naked rear view. I saw Miss Piggy twice. I said, I don't know who you are, but I wish you'd get dressed and leave. My wife had tiptoed in, unannounced, was watching me with those loving, discriminating eyes. She said, well, would you care to explain? I said, no, it's not what you think. She said, you know, you've been traveling through too many time zones. Maybe you should get a job at the university. I'm worried about you. I said, no, it's not what you think. What did I think? Think quick. You're still fast on your feet. You may be older, but you still got it. Say something that means something that you'll understand. October 30th. I'll try it. Bag over my head, naked. Fist on hip. Look masculine. Smile. Trick or treat here, what do you think? She looked at me from the chin down and said, there's no treat there, I'll take the trip. Be kind to yourself. Yes, be kind to yourself. Don't put eye holes on. And even though it's funny, you and I accept ourselves changing, imperfect, as good as the best, but no better than the rest. Self-honesty is understanding the final days of Rome. In the final days of Rome, they got a little bit hedonistic, narcissistic, fell in love with themselves, kind of skin-deep values at the end. And the statues that they put in their courtyards to show everyone how far they'd come were waxed over. Because in those days, if you glossed over things and waxed it, if it looked good, even though it wasn't good inside, it was all skin deep. And that's why when you wanted a real good statue in the final days of Rome, you got one in the quad that was marked Sine Cera, S-I-N-E-C-E-R-A, without wax. Of all the things you want in life is to be someone that people trust. And being sincere or honest is the gift that you can sell 1,000,000 times over, because everyone wants someone they can trust. Every relationship is built on trust, every marriage, every communication. Self-honesty, self-awareness, ring number 1. The second ring, I've been trying to teach it all my life to my children. If I could give it to my children and grandchildren for Christmas, I would give it to them. A big box of self-confidence. Ring number 2. Given my parents and my background, I'm me. I'd rather be me than anyone else in the world at any other time. I'm not the best looking in the group. I look my best in a group. And I can still do things. The psycholinguistics, the self-talk, the explanatory style of the winner is unmistakable. You talk yourself up. When the mind talks, the body listens and acts accordingly. You have a running commentary in your mind, 800 words a minute every waking moment of your life. So you must believe in your dream when that's all you have to hang on to. Because as Gabby Douglas said, you have to believe it before you'll even train for 4 years. Why would you train for 4 years for one moment of falling off the balancing beam? Come on. It's because you believe that that dream is achievable. And there are 2 elements of self-confidence, because we're not born with it, believe me. We're not born with self-confidence. We're born with talent and personalities, but we're not born with confidence. That is learned through experience, by observation, imitation, and repetition. Observe coaches and winners. Imitate and learn the correct swing by playing the inner game of everything. Learn from proven winners whose actions have tested, not just taught, the game. And then you understand this software of your mind drives the hardware of your body. Make no mistake, the mind talks, the body listens. So what would you say? I like myself. I can achieve my dreams. I'm feeling better now. This is my best year ever. I eat lean source protein, fiber-based carbohydrate. Water is my favorite fitness drink. This is the Olympian talking. Anybody ready to do the vault? Speed, power, explode, extend, rotate, plant the feet. Plant the feet at the end. When the pressure's on, I get better. Just like drill. Need a 9.95, get a 9.95. This is your moment in history. Let's go. Why would you ever tell yourself or others what you didn't want to happen, what you hoped wouldn't happen, what happened last time that wasn't good? Because you see, you can't concentrate on the reverse of an idea. You can only concentrate on the dominant thought that will drive you forward or hold you back. That's why you must believe in your potential. The diamond is there inside of each of us. Core value. You don't have to earn it. And you don't get it by performing. Listen carefully. It's a reflection of value, not a measure of it. So you don't need to make the money reach the goal before you feel good about yourself. Just the reverse is true. You must first feel you deserve to win. And by deserving, you invest it. Anything of value you invest in, lasting value. So you put your money and your education where your belief is in yourself. Potential is the most important thing of all. And then, once you have potential and start investing in it, you begin to develop self-trust. And self-trust is baby steps leading to global goals, local action, global risk. Little by little, you ratchet your way to the top, understanding that failure is fertilizer. Failure is the fertilizer of success. There never was a winner who wasn't a beginner. There never was a winner who didn't fail many times. But looking at failure as a learning experience through a target correction is everything. And that's why you should listen to yourself. What do you say when you wake up? For me, safe again, let's go. For other people, it's going to be one of my best days ever. When anyone says anything negative to me, I know how to flip it because I'm always flipping things toward the desired result instead of the penalty of failure. Gee, Dennis, you look terrible. You look your age, you big fat dumb klutz. We hate you, we hate your religion, and we hate your mother. I said, thank you. I'm into a self-improvement program and need lots of encouragement. Thank you. That self-talk is so important. Saying thank you every time you're paid a compliment. Why would you throw it back when they're giving it to you? They're giving you a gift, a compliment. Why don't you graciously accept it? Let them put the gold around your neck and stand there and say thank you, I appreciate it. Why won't you always extend your hand and bring people toward you? Why not look them in the eye and exchange value? Why not smile and let them know it's okay inside? Although, if you do it like I do in an elevator, I like to walk into an elevator and look at everyone and say, hello, I just got fired from the post office. And I go, oh my gosh, get us down safely. Self-worth. You were born with it. As good as anyone, but no better. So before your children go to sleep at night, do what I did. They didn't feel that good about themselves because they didn't look like they were as good as the others. But I would wrap them in their bed like a straitjacket so they couldn't move, right at the chin. Turned off the TV, turned off the recordings, turned off everything, asked the dog to leave, and I looked at my children and said, you know, I've been watching you, and you're about the most special human being I've ever been privileged enough to know. I'm so glad to be your father, and I'm so proud to wear your name, your last name. I know we've had our disagreements, but oh my child, I love you unconditionally, and I'm always there for you. Believing that you're worth something is the beginning, but even if you're not, even if you were raised in a dysfunctional family like we all are, even if you haven't always felt good, remember the little baby steps, the repetition of success, the eating one bite at a time. The reason you want low goals and short term, they're easier to hit and easy to correct if you miss them. And they give you a really good feeling when you ratchet your way to the top. So always remember that personal development is the secret to Momentis. It is. Because you can't separate your business from your personal life. You're the same person. And that's why I always believe that leaders of every country should have an example set in their personal lives to match what they're saying they're going to do for you self-esteem issue is so important, and self-confidence happens over time. The third Olympic ring for me has always been personal responsibility of self-determination. I know a lot about that because I've worked with our prisoners of war coming back from Vietnam. My doctorate was why no American prisoner ever escaped the Momentis security camp in World War II and the Korean War. No prisoner ever escaped from a minimum security camp, only from maximum security camps. And that's because leaders are determined and feel responsible for outcomes. That's why we have freedom of choice. God deals and then says, play your hand. Be careful. Model yourself after people who have been honest and good in their service to others, because you will become who you model yourself after. Self-determination. Life is a do it with God, for others, to myself project. If it is to be, it is up to me. Losers let it happen, winners make it happen. So important to get behind the wheel of your life and drive to win. Those of you who were in Las Vegas remember that I was a chauvinistic pig, maybe pilot. I say pig because chauvinistic pilots, you imagine how we were. I wore a silver blue flight suit to mow the lawn. I wore my helmet in the car driving a Porsche Target, looking for Honda Civics to intimidate. I wore a 45 by my flight suit in case they take me hostage. I shoot my way out, and I have a Crocodile Dundee knife, Jim Bowie knife, slipped in my flight boot. I'll parachute over the water, no problem. Land in the water, cut the shrouds, cut the kelp, cut the great white that comes in to eat me, put the blade between my teeth, swim to shore, swagger home. I loved it. Chasing farmers on their tractors. You can imagine how much fun it was to take a $10 million airplane at that time, they're much more now, and pretend you're the Blue Angels. We would pick a farmer up in the Imperial Valley. He was driving a John Deere tractor with an umbrella. Now we knew though it was a Russian babushka firing land-to-air missile launcher, his tractor. So we decided to take him by surprise. It was hot, he was bored, plowing soybeans, nothing to do, give him a show. We had watched the Blue Angels, so we came in 20 feet above his meat patch. 40, 60, 80. Meet at the center, exactly at 01. We came in from the 4 points of the compass, supersonic. So he'd have to experience us before he heard us. He'd see us all at once. Right over his tractor, we did a fleur-de-lis and hit the afterburners straight down on the tractor. The umbrella came on, it was like a helicopter. He almost came off the ground and twisted. The farmer is the only person that can dive into the irrigation ditch and memorize your numbers going by. And then call the authorities. I had my Viva Zapata bullet belts, my 45, my knife, my helmet, and I walked in my kitchen. You may remember the story. There's my wife feeding our 11-month-old daughter Gerber string squash, but she wouldn't eat it. My wife had squash in her hair, squash on her apron, squash on the tray, but none in the kid. I believe in selling the old-fashioned way, fear. I raised my kids. The baby buyer's coming by, and I don't need much money. You keep on doing what you're doing, you'll be on the truck. Looked at my 6-year-old and said, when I was your age, I was 14. Used to walk to school on hot coals. That's where Tony Robbins got the idea. You guys are lucky. You get to take a bus. I had to ride a horse. He said that was a lot more fun, Dad. the spoon out of my wife's hand. You give her Oreo cookies. You give her applesauce. That's a commission. That's a bonus. That's a check. She has to close the sale and reach her quota before you give her dessert. I'll show you how to raise children the old-fashioned Navy way. Fear. Watch this. Open up. It's your dad. Her gums snapped shut, the pupils pinpointed in her eyeballs. Always watch the pupils of the person you're talking to. Either they're not buying or they're on something. Can't tell. I said, well, you're stubborn like your father, it's okay. And then I did what you've done. Oh, if you have children, you've done this. What you do is you set the example for your children by eating from the little jar their string squash. It tastes awful, but they don't know. They don't have taste buds. It's delicious. Food of the gods. If your dad likes it, you'll like it. Her gums clamped shut again. I watched what she was thinking, although she could not talk. Go ahead, Fatso, you like it, you eat it. Don't you look at me like that. Don't you look at me like that. So you're stubborn. The phone rang, my wife left the room. Perfect opportunity for a fearmonger manager to take charge. I pushed her cheeks together. Today I go to prison, but then you didn't. And as I pushed softly, gently, and firmly, her mouth came open and I stuffed it full of squash. I held it shut just for a little while, not too hard, and said, 5 bites of squash gets 1 bite of applesauce as a commission if the squash clears. Any questions? I could not believe an 11-month-old. She decided to die by holding her breath. I said, come on, you're going to breathe, you're going to swallow, and you get the Oreo cookie. It's just simple. Her face was turning red. My face was turning red. Come on, swallow. Your mama can't hear you now. You're not the only child. Before you die, you'll swallow. Couldn't believe it. 15 seconds gone on the kitchen clock. No brain damage. Come on, honey. Swallow. And then, as if by magic, she took control, as children always do, of their own situation. The angle was right. The target was large. She exhaled suddenly through the linear summary, through the nozzle. A steady stream of Mount St. Helens went deep into my nasal pituitary area. I made a fatal Southern California yuppie air. I went, and snorted squash. Have you ever snorted Gerber strain squash? It burns. It clogs. I fell convulsing on the floor, tripped on her high chair. Fortunately, I had my helmet on. My wife tiptoed in. What happened, Top Gun? I said, nothing. She doesn't like squash. Don't make a big deal about it. She's older now. She has children of her own who don't like string vegetables either. She said, Dad, we kids have been wondering about our early life and why we're like we are. Why don't we like any yellow vegetables? I said, it's a time for truth in America. It's a time to own up. Your mother tried to force feed you when you were young. They said it was you, Dad. It was you. Where does the control rest? The choices that you make. It's the unfailing boomerang. Throw it out. Comes back full circle. Isaac Newton was right. For every action there is an equal and opposed reaction. I knew that. I knew the law of cause and effect. I knew the law of attraction. I knew that, but I didn't realize how important my choices were in life. That I can time is the only equal opportunity employer. 168 hours a week, it's a chessboard. You don't manage time, you manage priorities. There's no such thing as a time management problem, only a priority management problem. Doing things that are goal achieving or tension relieving. You control the clock, especially at night, which is called prime time. I urge you, please live in prime time and don't watch as much in prime time. Can you believe how much time we've spent watching other people making money, having fun in their professions? They want you to watch them. Their ratings go up and they're loving what they're doing. But you and I are spectators during those moments, so turn off the TV a while. Watch a little football, watch your favorite sitcom, watch some Olympic Games, watch some wonderful things and listen to music, but please, don't watch in prime time. Live in prime time. Intimate, family, using your time. Proactive instead of reactive. If you're honest that you've got more potential than you could use in 1,000 lifetimes, if you believe you're as good as the best but no better than the rest, if you feel that you exert a certain amount of control over your life, then you must understand that the fourth ring of self-discipline, which is habit forming, is the key. Habits are comfortable beds. They're easy to get into and difficult to get out of. They're like submarines. They run silent and deep. But habits are not broken. They're replaced. You superimpose new information over the old. You never break a habit. You see, you can't do two things at the same time. So you must start doing something new to override the old way. In all of my psychological studies and teaching, I've learned that past thoughts determine present performance. True, past thoughts. So every decision you're making today is based upon what happened before. Not what's going on now, but what happened to you before. Your future performance will be determined by present inputs over all of the experiences you've had before. And if you're 40 years old, it's 360,000 hours. Would a speaker like me presume that I could change your life? Billy Graham and I talked still, and may the Lord bless him, and Neil Armstrong. Billy Graham says, you know, Dennis, I don't change lives, I just give them information. And they pray, but they go back to being themselves unless everything that led up to tonight, they make a decision and begin to change. They don't suddenly change. 45 minutes with me, over 360,000 hours of past experience, takes time. So make sure you understand that everything that's happened to you is not wasted. And reorganize your beliefs about your past so that you can harbor happy memories and not have thoughts of victim or recrimination. Make sure you understand that discipline is doing within what you're doing without. It's simulation. Every Olympian simulates. Every astronaut does within. Every prisoner of war is living within. And that's what goals are all about. Goals are previews of coming attractions. Imagination rules the world. Thoughts become things. You have two choices. Look back, look forward. Fear of the penalty, desire the reward. Winners dwell on the rewards of success, and losers dwell on the penalty of failure. And fear is a hammer that drives you because of negative possibilities, and fear is a red light that stops you. But desire is the green light that magnetizes you, invites you, and accelerates you. Habit, over time, takes about a year. Takes about 3, 4, 5 weeks to develop a new beginning of a skill, but it takes a year for the habit to become understand that habits are replaced over time, but not broken all at once. If you'll give it time, if you'll focus on people with proven track records of success, and if you'll do within when you're doing without, your mind cannot distinguish between something that is vividly imagined and that which is real. That's why goals just out of reach, but not out of sight, are so important. And that's why it's important to be specific. I was so sad when my friend Stephen Covey passed away a little while ago after a bike ride. He and I, years and years ago, came up with what we call SMART goals. S-M-A-R-T. S, specific. The mind is the most marvelous biocomputer ever created. And the mind only deals with specifics. And the N is for measurement. You must have a beginning and you must have a completion. Specific, measurable, achievable, just out of reach but not out of sight. Something that has maybe 90 days tied to it. The length of the season. Specific, how much, when. Measurable, how long. Achievable, I can do this. Real, R, real to you. Really yours, not theirs, not his, not hers, but yours. No dream or goal given to you by somebody else has the same emotional pulling power as your own goals. And finally, T, time-based. We're a procrastination society. The term paper isn't started until the night before it's due. The exams are crammed a week before. You never really get into it until there's a time or deadline. So be smart about your goals, specific, measurable, achievable, real to you, and time-based. And understand that habits are not broken, replaced. The final ring to me has always been self-dimension, beyond the arena, or perspective. Looking beyond myself for meaning. Giving more in service than I receive in payment. Knowledge and money are the same. You can't keep them. They do you no good when you have them. They only do you good when you share them, employ them, make them valuable. Share your knowledge. You can't keep it. Share your money, because that's the gift, to be able to make decisions, to help other people, to live a life of complete stewardship is one of the greatest thrills of all. That's why it's okay to be rich. Why? Because you're in a position to help people who you want to help without making a long-term, rational, worried decision. You can do it. You can spend time with, on, other people. And that's the beauty of employing your wealth. But health is more than wealth. I'll be in China for all of November. 11 cities in China, all over 10 million people. And they want what we have. They want a swimming pool of their own. They want meat on the table. And they've watched our lives and they want to live like we do. Some of the things that the Chinese are emulating are not the best of us. They're more Hollywood. But other things they want are what we want, which is a better life for themselves and their children in the future. When I was very young, I dreamed I could do anything, be anything, have everything. I wished upon a star and saw myself go everywhere throughout the world without a care. And now at last I know what kept my sights too low were simply childhood fears I learned so long ago. How do you know that the vision you see for yourself is real? How does that face in your mirror reflect what you truly feel? How will you know that the harvest is near? When will your doubts and your fears disappear? Who do you turn to? Who do you trust to lift you up year after year? So many questions searching for answers, so many voices from you, so many hours of watching and waiting. Finally, The secret to living the dream that's inside you is really quite simple to find. Give all your attention to what's here before you. Leave all of your failures behind. Cherish the loved ones around you. Stay true to the friendships you share. Let health and abundance surround you, and dream as big as you possibly dare. Imagine that all that you desire and hold dear is asking permission from you to appear. Make this your moment. Make this your year. Don't wait for the future. It's here. Thank you.
How many women in this audience would agree with me? He's pretty cute, right? All right. All of the speakers today picked out their favorite products for you because most of all of us have tons. So every speaker today picked out just a couple of things that were their favorite. And I am so glad this is Dennis's brand new. And I love it. It's called Becoming an Authentic MVP, standing for
Most valuable player on your team, person in your life, parent, partner, professional, performer. Right.
I mean, there's probably more P's here. So what's so cool about this is if you want to succeed, and I will tell you, if you haven't listened to a tape of Dennis's, plus there's a little book in here, but it's not so much about the book. His voice will absolutely make you, if I'm having, any of you ever have stress in here? Have a day that's going crazy? Just slide a tape of his in, and that voice just kind of carries you away. So thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, it's good at night because when you put it in, you'll go right to sleep.
No, you won't. No, you won't. Well, I love, because you remember Dennis just talked about SMART and setting goals. So let's talk about that. Where's our squares? Squares, hands up. You were like the goal setters of all time, okay? I mean, you set goals and then you stick to them and then you cross things off the list. Triangles, where are you at? Where are you? Okay, you're the ones that set goals for all the rest of us, okay? You're telling us what we should do and when we should do it, and you love to take charge. Circles, hands up. You set goals, but you set so many for yourself that you can't ever do them. There isn't one human being. Circles, you are some of the most overachieving people in here. You want to do everything for everyone. Squiggles, hands up. You've never set a goal in your life. You made a list of some goals a long time ago, but you lost the list, have no idea where it is, so that's okay. Well, when I was introducing Dennis, I told you there were 3 men in my life that started me out in my career. Zig Ziglar, Dennis Waitley, and the third was Jim Rohn. How many of you have ever heard of Jim Rohn?
Yeah.
Jim is one of these people, if you haven't heard of him, you have to. He is probably the mentor of mentors, the father of personal development. He's an unbelievable person, was an unbelievable person. And let me tell you about Jim. Years and years and years ago, when I first started speaking, I was going to one of my first speaking jobs, 1,000 people, largest audience I'd ever had, and they wanted me to talk on my life and making good choices and balancing home and career and doing the right thing. And as I was going, I had a little bit of an anxiety attack because I haven't always done everything right in my life. Are there any of you that have ever messed up anything? How many of you have made some really bad choices? My number one topic is life would be easy if it weren't for other people, okay? How many of you agree with that? Because how many of you have someone in your life right now that probably is toxic to you, should be let go? So all of a sudden, I thought to myself, how do I have the right to talk to other people? What gives me the right to stand on stage, talk to other people, and tell them how to live their life, when if you were to have a camera on my past mistakes and what I had done so I cassette, that tells you how old I am, of Jim Rohn, and it was right in the middle of the tape, and let me tell you what he was saying at that moment. He said, stop living in the past. You are who you are at this moment, at this time in life. And as long as you continue to live in the past, you will never have the future you deserve. And those were the moments I needed to hear at that moment. I wish Jim could be with us today, but his message will stay alive long after he. So please, ladies and gentlemen, turn to your screens, and I would like to introduce you to the late, very great Jim Rohn.
Jim Rohn, America's foremost business philosopher, has inspired millions with his insightful, positive messages. For more than 45 years,